The market has spoken, so we're here to deliver. We're going to be doing 3 shows a week. Mondays are going to be about marketing. Wednesdays are going to be about sales. Fridays is going to be about small business. It is Monday. So for this show, the topic is 5 areas to focus on in 2022.
Gladiator in this art of war. What you think that I've been fighting for? Got a cape on like a superhero. They rushing at me like a matador. Nah, I don't need your energy. I don't need the negativity. I'm just trying to bring my people up. Promise y'all I got the remedy. Straight to the roof, tell them we bringing the troops. We got a little surprise, you thinking that we ain't the truth. We give it 120, we never make an excuse. So go run and tell everybody down that we coming for you.
So for this show, the topic is 5 areas to focus on in 2022, which could be things that you were focusing on this year, but most likely not, because in the industrial and manufacturing sector, from all the clients that I talk to, people are still doing the stuff that they used to do that hasn't worked as well. So for 2022, this might be a shock, these areas we want to focus on, or it might be a micro adjustment. So the first area is going to be website and SEO. And I know what you're probably thinking, dude, my website, my company's website hasn't been updated in forever, or it totally sucks. Or maybe you guys recently did update it. It's just not performing the way it should. But the theory is simple. Like, if you're trying to get attention around your brand and you're trying to get people to buy from you, whether it's a service or a product, before you can really push hard into that market, you want to make sure where they're going to is set up and optimized. And I'm not going to go into many details. Go to my YouTube channel. There's tons of videos on website optimization in regards to the user experience and all that stuff. But the website has to be, at a minimum, highly functional. There can't be broken things. You can hire an agency like mine, MFG Tribe. We can come through, audit it, fix anything, or do a complete overhaul. Really just want to make sure, can people go to where I want them to go? And can people contact me efficiently? And so 2 things to look at. Anybody that's in analytics and loves the Google Analytics side, is you want to look at the top landing pages, okay? The top pages that people land on. Most people think, hey, when people first come to my website, they go to the homepage, and that's not true. Usually it's about 50% of your traffic lands on your homepage, but if your SEO did a good job and you're writing content and creating videos and stuff like that, people are going to land on multiple different pages of your website. And really what you want to focus on is the top 10 pages that they land on, because if they come to your About Us or Who We Are or one of your services pages, that's the first impression that they have of your business, is that page. So you want to make sure that that page is optimized to make sure that it then takes them deeper into the website. You want to keep them on the website as long as possible. That's an area that on a monthly basis, when we're reviewing with our clients, there's 3 main areas I look at, which is going to be what pages do they land on the most, the top 10, what pages did they visit the most? So regardless of where they landed, these are the top pages that they visit. And then we also look at the source and the medium, which is how do they get there? Is it direct? Is it through Google? Is it through social? Is it a referral? Is it a trade show link? Whatever. It can be extremely cheap to hire somebody to do this, or maybe you could do it yourself, but at a minimum, look at those areas and say, we need to beef up content. We need to add videos to these pages. We need to increase call to actions. We need to do links to blogs. We need to do links to other pages. We got that attention. What are you going to do with it? Okay. The next area is going to be the contact us. So something that we've implemented with a lot of our clients is when you go to the contact us page, we want to make sure that people can easily get a hold of your sales team. And that's really the fastest and easiest way to do. No more of this email sales at whatever, and then they respond and then you set up a time to talk or whatever it is. I understand industrial sector, and you guys, you've got files to upload, and is it an RFQ that they want to do and things like that. I completely understand that. You can embed all of that into the questions and upload files and all that stuff with a calendar type app. But the name of the game is make it as easy as possible for somebody to get hold of you. If you don't have chat on your website, or if you're a big enough company where there's too many people that there's not going to be a single person controlling the chat, but putting chat in and then also looking at that contact us page. Now on the SEO side of things, SEO takes time, and that's showing up, search engine optimization, showing up in those search results, making sure that when somebody Google searches a phrase that you want to rank for, that you show up first. Okay. And so you need to look at that and audit it and make any fixes that are hindering your performance ASAP, because it is a long-term play. There is no way to go from page 1 million to page 1, position 1 in 2 weeks or 30 days, unless it's not a search for phrase. But most of the phrases or search for in the industrial area, you're looking at 200, 500, maybe 1,000 times a month in the United States and Canada. They're not very common. They're not the high search phrases of the consumer times. So looking at your SEO and making sure that you're ranking for and optimized for the phrases that you really want to at the end of the day, you have to start it now, like right now. You really want to focus on how well, what is my company ranking for right now? What are the pages ranking for? Is it set up properly with on-page SEO and things like that? And I have a whole video. If you go to YouTube and search my channel for SEO, we've got multiple videos about SEO basics and how to optimize things that you can dig into deeper. So the next area that we're going to be looking at is going to be from a content standpoint. Everything's about content, and I talk about it on every single show we do, and I talk about it in every single video almost in all of our posts. It's all about content. So you have to have a plan and a strategy to create some sort of content marketing strategy for 2022. Whether it's super aggressive and you're doing weekly stuff, or if it's a little bit relaxed and you're doing monthly stuff, just starting with something, and it has to be broken into those two categories of written and video. There are people that still love to read things, and I know that if you don't have an agency like ours at MFG Tribe to write and create all this stuff for you, it can be difficult to get content out of engineers. It could take a long time, and they could delay things, and they could just keep on pushing off, because at the end of the day, they really don't want to do it, and maybe they're busy doing 12 other things, which I totally understand, but putting together some sort of strategy, getting your team on board and saying, look, this is what we're doing. We need to stand out from the competition. Look at your competition, see, are they creating videos? Are they writing articles? Most likely they aren't. They don't have a strategic plan unless they're a huge company that has a lot of resources, or they're partnered with an agency like MFG Tribe, and then we just do it all for them. Ideally, in an ideal state, you want to be doing a video and an article every single week. So that's 8 pieces of content a month. You can do a lot with that. At a minimum, go after 4. 2 articles a month, 2 videos, maybe 3 videos that are super easy and simple, 1 article. But you have to focus around content because everybody wants to learn and get value first before they can move on and really be interested in your brand and buy something from you. So looking at the content, dig deep into that. Again, go to my YouTube channel, tons of videos and stuff out there about it. And I probably just said content about 47 times. So next year we're going to be looking at social. You're really only going to want to focus on LinkedIn. And I talk about that a lot. And again, tons of content out there about it. But LinkedIn is where the attention is the cheapest for your audience. Everybody that you want to go after is on LinkedIn. Having a strategic plan, having things in place to where you've got daily content going out. I break it down into an 80-20 rule where 80% of the content is about you. 20% of the content is playing to the persona of who you're trying to sell to. So if you're going after engineers, they don't just want to hear about whatever it is that you do, they have other interests. So play to the persona. People in purchasing are a little bit different. Look for articles that talk about cost reduction opportunities or reshoring from offshore to America. And so looking at social, LinkedIn is the only thing that's worth looking at. If you're trying to recruit people, going to Facebook, Instagram, things like that, if you're a machine shop, you make cool stuff, you can get some growth on Instagram and you can get a decent following. Can you get business from it? Possibly, if it's done correctly. But really LinkedIn, at the end of the day, you can strategically build networks. Your salespeople, your marketing people can strategically build networks, invite people to follow your company page, create good content. So going back to point 2, you've got content now. What are you going to do with it? Sharing it on social every single week to get eyes on it, linking people back to your website, building out networks, engaging with them. That's the best way to do it. And you can be the loudest in the space. I mean, people are going on LinkedIn at least at a minimum on a weekly basis. Weekly. If not, some people are going on daily if they're using it properly. So don't think that, who I'm going after isn't on LinkedIn. They are. It's just a matter of what's their frequency. Looking at that circle of influence, somebody at that company that could promote your brand internally at their company and possibly get you an opportunity, somebody there is on a weekly basis. Somebody in the department or the cross-functional departments, they're on there, and it makes it a lot easier for your sales guys to do those calls if they're already like, yeah, I've seen your stuff. I mean, it happens to us all the time. That's basically how our strategies work. We try something, we see if it works. We're marketing to industrial people. Then we try it with our clients, see if it works. If it works, we double down, triple down, do it more and more until we figure out what is the bell curve. And then once you get there, you just keep on plugging away until you see any changes to that data that's going to support that decision, and then you make micro adjustments from there. But that's how we built out the strategy that we do, because we do this on a daily basis. This is all that we do, is marketing for industrial companies. So we know what works before and what doesn't work before most companies know what doesn't work and what works, because we do it at scale. But focusing on social, LinkedIn, go through my content on it. There's a ton out there about exactly what you need to do, exactly how that strategy should be broken down. The next one, the fourth one, is going to be a CRM system. So a CRM system is, in industrial, it's like every single company we talk to, do you guys have a CRM system? They're like, yeah, but we don't use it. Or yes, we have Salesforce. Okay, Salesforce is a great CRM system for enterprise companies. What do I mean by enterprise? I mean companies with 100 salespeople, 50, 100, 150 or more salespeople. Salesforce is a great solution to that, but for the companies where it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe up to 5 salespeople using Salesforce, it's complete waste. It's complete overkill. It's got a lot of depth to it, but for most industrial people, you don't use it, and you're not going to. You haven't used a CRM system that you have in place. I would challenge smaller industrial companies, so companies that are less than, let's say, 100 million. I would challenge that if I took a peek into your CRM system where all of your notes there are, all of your contacts updated, all of your activity logged in that CRM system, 9.5 out of 10 times the answer is going to be no. It's not logged in there, because you guys, it's different to a lot of people. It's not something that they're used to. Putting a CRM system in place to track and monitor all of this stuff is really what the focus should be, because you're going through the effort of talking to people. You're going through the effort of trying to build your pipeline and all that stuff. And then what are you doing with all that data? You're writing it down on a piece of paper, in a notebook, going through Microsoft Excel, and, putting it in calendar and in your Outlook, whatever it is, putting it into a central system like CRM. And then what you can do is, as you build up your CRM database, you can then take your content in step 2 and email market it out to people. Now, I'm somewhat bullish against email marketing as far as the expectations of what it will accomplish. Does email marketing work? Yes, but it works to a certain expectations. If you're expecting for it to work like it did back in 2007 or 2012, it's not going to work like that. It's not that effective, but it's a great source to distribute some content strategically to people to gain their trust and gain their value. It can help all your salespeople. It can help all your data. You can track all your stuff to it. Plus, you can use it as content distribution to be able to send out case studies, articles, videos, things like that to your strategic audience, and then filter out, obviously, if anybody's no longer at the company. You have to keep the data clean, and that's really what it's all about. If the data is garbage, then it's going to be garbage in, garbage out. You're not going to get any value from it. So, looking at 2022, spend some time in December next month and look at how can I clean up my CRM system. And I really want to start fresh now. And so I'm going to use this downtime and the slow time of December and clean everything up and get everything organized so that way we can hit them hard in January. I mean, that's really what you want to focus on. The CRM should be the lifeblood of your business. Using a system like HubSpot, like I said, that's what we prefer. There's tons out there. Just do your research, but use it. Most industrial people won't use it. And most industrial people, if they do start using it, let's say in January, they're not going to be using it by March. So you got to hold these people accountable for that. The last step is going to be sales processes and training to focus on in 2022. Sales processes, they should have adapted and changed based on the last 18 months. You hopefully have adjusted. Got a great video out there about virtual selling during COVID that's on my YouTube channel that talks through exactly what you should do. But you have to change your process, and that's the industrial area and manufacturing. Is you guys just get stuck in this way of like, this is what works, this is what we're doing over and over and over again, and then you get into something throws a wrench into your plan, and then it's like, oh, I'm going to freeze up. And you're not going to do anything. You're not going to change anything. You have to adjust and change. And from a training standpoint, looking at the systems like what we have at Technical Sales University, I mean, we've got 8 hours of video content where I'm training people on everything related to technical sales, from presentations to building out pipelines, to pitch decks, to cold calls, what you should do, building out your network with LinkedIn. 8+ hours of video content with questions after each segment to make sure we're retaining information. That's a great resource for salespeople to use at their home, when they're on the road, when they're traveling, wherever. Jump in, do a couple segments, and then use that information. I mean, you got to continuously update your training to adjust with what's working now, and what's working now and what's going to work in 2022 is different than 2020, and it's way different than 2017. It's all about sending value and providing value first before you ask for that hard sell or ask for that direct sale. You have to provide them with something before you can ask for anything. And that goes back to point 2 about content. Content comes into play. Salespeople cannot rely on their marketing team to just do everything for them. If your marketing team doesn't have a robust strategy and isn't saying, hey, here's how we're gonna roll it out in the next quarter, here's our campaigns, here's what we're doing. If that's not in place, take the initiative. And same with the opposite side of that. Marketing may be kicking butt and bringing in tons of opportunities, but then the salespeople are just being lazy or can't close or just getting lost because they don't have CRM systems in place and they're not very organized, or their sales process is not robust and it's somewhat broken. They go both ways. And so you really want to focus on making sure that you have adjusted your processes, adjusted your pitch, the ways that you're going after people. Don't just sit back and wait. Waiting is not going to get you anywhere. You have to constantly be pushing forward. At the end of the day, if your website, your content, your CRM system, all that stuff is in place and everything's banging away, but then you can't close deals, it does not matter. So you want to focus on doing what you can now from a sales standpoint to organize everything together and making sure that when new people come in, what's your process? Write it down on a notebook and go through it. And it doesn't have to be some professional thing with a PowerPoint. You don't have to get everything approved by your managers and things like that. But you can just have your own internal process. First, I'm going to hit them with this. You want to focus on listening first. You don't want to talk. You want to figure out what is the solution and their pain points, and what is the solution you're trying to provide to them, and it's custom to them. And that should be your new process. So you really got to focus on that for 2022, because people are getting back into it. And even though some of the traditional ways of doing it with trade shows is opening back up, there's going to be that huge spike and influx like we've seen for the last 3-4 months. The trade shows are booming again, but it's going to even out and it's going to level out. And do not go back into it being like, yes, finally, this is the source of opportunities that I'm looking for. That's not going to be what it was 2 years ago, and definitely not 10, 15 years ago. So you have to adjust. You can still participate and do the shows, but you need to adjust your strategy based on that. So just to recap, the way the show is going to be laid out is marketing is going to be on Mondays, sales is going to talk on Wednesdays, Friday is going to be small business, but every single one of those shows, we're going to be talking about anything after the main content. Through questions, stuff can get brought up. Kyle might tell a story and I might reminisce a little bit, or I might share little nuggets of information, so you can't miss them. You got to definitely set those reminders that noon Central Standard Time, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're coming to you live through all the platforms.